One is the concierge one, like is this one remember me like the Su-27 of Russian or something like that. The other one is American, and this one is more Russian.
Russian, yeah.
Go. Yeah.
Overseated.
Oh, good.
Hey everyone! Today we're talking about the Super Hornet, and I've got some surprising thoughts to share after spending hours in PvP testing with some really solid pilots. A big thanks to the guys in 00 for helping make this review possible. You know what's funny? Before all this testing, if you'd asked me to choose between an F7A and a Super Hornet, I wouldn't have even hesitated. F7A all the way. But man, flying this thing has completely changed my opinion. Like, completely changed it. Let me break down why this ship won me over. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. This thing is an absolute tank. 3 size 1 shields, plus what feels like more hit points than a standard Hornet. It can take a serious beating. But here's where it gets interesting. That second seat with the turret. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Isn't that just wasting a pilot? But hear me out. Not everyone's an ace pilot, right? Some folks in our org mainly do PvE, and being able to just grab someone to jump in makes the Super Hornet incredibly flexible. Like, if your org is full of absolute sweat lords, maybe 2 Gladiuses are better. But let's be real. It takes serious skill to get the most out of a Gladius. A mediocre Gladius pilot will get shredded in seconds by a pilot who knows what they're doing. And just so you know, all these test fights were done with pilots who have tons of dogfighting hours, mostly living in Arena Commander, so keep that in mind. Alright, before we go any further, we need to talk about something important, the upgraded turret situation. So the Super Hornet has this optional upgrade you can pick up from the shops for $30. Comes with a Heartseeker paint. That's what we mainly used in these tests. Never got around to testing the stock turret, but yeah, that'd be worth trying later. But look, I gotta be straight with you here. I'm really not a fan of putting upgrades like this behind a paywall. Like, nobody likes pay-to-win games, right? And this isn't a direction I'd like to see Star Citizen go. But since we tested it, I can tell you it definitely makes a difference. So the upgraded top turret with size 4 guns instead of size 3s, holy crap, does it do damage? These ballistics hit hard. There's one catch though, they tend to overheat pretty quickly with a gunner. Solo though, I never had an issue. Pretty sure it's because gunners can track targets longer, which means more sustained fire. Oh, and quick tip for the video. If you see 2 pips, I'm soloing the ship. If you see one, I've got a turret gunner. Let me give you a perfect example of what this ship can do. During testing, one of our org mates kept getting these nasty angles on me with the Gladius, like floating 45 degrees to my left, my nose nowhere near him. In a normal Hornet, man, I'd have been toast. But the Super Hornet's turret gunner laid down so much damage that he had to break off. Think about it. You're controlling 4 size 4 guns and 2 size 3 guns. You really don't need much time on target to get a kill. Like, yeah, it moves slower than light fighters, but all you need is to get your nose on target for literally a second or 2, and they're done. You can see that happening all the time in the video. So let's talk matchups. because this is where it gets really interesting. Against a Gladius, it's super close. Solo, the Gladius might have a tiny edge, maybe 55 to 45, mainly cause of how it moves. But at a turret gunner, suddenly you're looking at a 60% win rate for the Super Hornet. These are really good numbers, and I'm not just saying that. I'll add all the exact fight counts and win rates for each matchup in the description below. You can check it out yourself. Now the F7A fights, even closer. Yeah, the F7A has better maneuverability. You definitely feel the difference in pitch, roll, and yaw, but the Super Hornet holds its own, making it pretty much a 45 to 55 matchup. It's honestly one of the most balanced ships I've seen at launch, and I love that. Like, CIG deserves some serious praise for their recent balancing work here. Against heavy fighters like the F8, oh man, the Super Hornet just dominates. We're talking an 85% win rate, whether you're solo or crewed. Those ballistic guns just tear through them. I had this one stint where I didn't even respawn my damaged Super Hornet, and I still managed to kill the F8 5 times in a row. The Super Hornet actually moves like you can position yourself in a fight. Yeah, it's worse than the Hornet, but it's way better than any other two-seater in the game. Who doesn't love positional fighting? Okay, now let's talk about the Guardian. And I know some of you are probably thinking I'm trolling by bringing this up. Most people don't rate it highly, but I've said it time and time again, the Guardian is great. Like, I've had way better luck with it than the F8, and its win rates against both the F8 and Super Hornet are crazy good. I get why people rate the F8 higher for squadron battles, where it can just evaporate ships if it gets the jump. But in one-on-ones or in the PU where you're not fighting coordinated squads, Guardian all day. I've linked my full Guardian PvP thoughts video in the description if you want to learn more about that. But back to the Super Hornet. The Guardian won about 90% of our test fights against it. That's just facts. And then we've got the Hurricane, which wins about 85 to 90% of the time against the Super Hornet. The Hurricane's turret is just better. Better coverage, no blind spots. It can go vertical, straight up, a full 90 degrees, while the Super Hornet's turret feels limited to about 60 degrees of pitch. That's what all our gunners were saying, and the win rates pretty much proved them right. But here's the thing about the Super Hornet that just works for me: flexibility. That's the whole point. You can fly it solo and have a great time against Gladiuses, F7As, and F8s. A Hurricane, it really needs 2 people to be effective. 1 person, it's basically useless. And let's talk PU for a second. These fights would go way different there, mostly because of missile gameplay and detection ranges. A Hurricane would be a missile magnet. Plus, the Super Hornet's turret gunner has access to 8 size 1 missiles fixed to the turret, which just looks awesome. Last ship to cover, the Scorpious. Just don't fly it. Like, seriously. It's terrible and feels buggy as hell. Sometimes it feels tanky, sometimes it feels like paper. Its vertical strafe is basically non-existent. Please fix it, CG. The Super Hornet wins this matchup 80-20, and honestly, that might be generous to the Scorpious. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. I really appreciate it. After all this testing, I've honestly fallen in love with the Super Hornet. If I had to pick between an F7A and a Super Hornet right now, Super Hornet. Every time. Even if I was looking for a dedicated 2-seater fighter. Hurricane versus Super Hornet, still Super Hornet. Because even though the Hurricane might win in a dedicated 2-seater slugfest, the Super Hornet gives you options, and I am all for that. It's that balanced solo capability and powerful 2-seater potential, all in one package. Who wouldn't like that? Just don't put upgraded items behind a paywall, CIG. Please. Look, I don't usually tell people to buy ships, but if you're into PvP, looking for a PvP ship and you missed out on the F7A sale, don't worry about it. The Super Hornet is amazing for PvP. It's flexible, it's balanced, and it's fun, whether you're flying solo or with a friend. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is my honest PvP perspective on the Super Hornet. Like the video if you did, subscribe for more PvP stuff, and I'll see you in the verse. Cheers.
Nice.
You're right, eh?
208. Wow.
Don't think I'm recording. No, now I'm recording. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go? Okay.
Yeah. Hennessy, you wanna crash again?
No. It's so bad.
You're doing damage. He's also doing damage. Come on. What does he finish it?
Whoa.
Nice.
Wow.